Exactly this time last year, Ansley, a current family med intern, found out that she didn't match into her dream specialty of OB. Ansley, thanks so much for sharing your story. Walk me through that day and the days that followed.
My friends were blowing up the group message with I matched, and me and my dad were going to go get mimosas and go to brunch. Obviously that didn't happen. I had to hit the ground running. I had to look at programs that didn't fill their spots, rewrite personal statements. I decided to apply to 2 specialties, to peds and family. Family could still give me the obstetrics field, potentially. You know, I wanted to be a pediatrician before I applied OB-GYN, so I felt like those 2 made sense. I got my applications together. The next day, calls were coming in back to back to back to back. I was very fortunate, but it was extremely overwhelming. I didn't have time to eat. I didn't have time to hardly shower. My brother had an Excel document that had every place that called me, their interview time, what I felt after the interview. And the next day, I was fortunate enough to accept an offer from a program that I chose to be at, I wanted to be at.
Man, I remember the chaos storm of emotions from my own match day. I can't imagine the emotions that you were going through. What was the first thing that you felt?
8:58 on March 11th, 2024, utter shock. There was no other emotion I felt. Extremely type A. I didn't know what my life was going to look like. My mom and dad switched shifts. My dad went back to work. My mom took off immediately. My mom was working around my apartment and she was like, you got to get to it. You got to write your personal statements. And I was like, give me a minute. And I just remember probably for a good hour and a half to 2 hours, I just stared and thought. Didn't respond to text, nothing. Then as the week went on, that shock turned into just anger. I was angry at the system. I just couldn't figure it out. I was mad.
I think it's important to know that those are completely normal emotions to go through. So what's changed in the year since?
I have really stepped into who I am as a person, I think. I feel like I belong in my path. I'm just happy. Like, I'm happier than I've probably ever been from the time I was a pre-med until now. I found my community, my co-interns, my program director, my attendings, who are wonderful teachers who have poured into me to make me a better doctor. I love it here. My experience is probably what, you're thinking Sunday night is the worst thing to actually happen. And in that moment it is, but I know people, they didn't get their first, second, third, fourth, or even 5th choice. They had to move across the country to somewhere they don't know people or far away from their families. And that would just be so difficult. Crazy to say, I had a privilege going through SOAP. That I had the privilege of getting to choose between multiple great programs in an area that I'm passionate about serving with people that I care about. Looking back, if you would have told me I would feel the way I do today, I would have probably laughed and told you to not talk to me.